you want to put the small part of the bead on the hook first.
Which is the small part to the small part of the hook.
Yeah. Just put it on there. Be careful.
Is it kind of snug?
Yeah. So you got the big part towards the back part of the hook. You got the small part.
Where's the little knot?
Yeah. So just put that in your vise, cinch it down, move the bead back, and then you're going to take your thread, probably take 5 or 6 wraps back towards the back part of the hook. Just cut that off. Use one of your small pieces of chenille there.
So since you wrapped it so many times, it created a knot, kind of, to where you were able to cut off the trim?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then all you're trying to do with this chenille is kind of secure it right there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to put too much on it, then you can't get your bead back. So just kind of put it on that thread wrap. And then
tie it close to the hook loop.
to the eye, yeah. So all you're trying to do is kind of cinch down that red chenille so you can slide the bead back over the top of it. I use this 8/0 thread too because it makes it easier to slide that bead over. Some people use the 6/0, it's a little bit thicker thread, but then they can't get the bead over the front portion. Okay, so then bring that down, do the half hitch.
Could you do that half hitch thing slow so I can like see how many?
Yeah, I'm going to do a few more of them too. So
Yeah.
I'm going to clip that off, slide the bead up. See, that worked better. See, there's not much gap. You can't see that much material for the thread between there.
And the bead?
Yeah, where these other ones,
Yeah, you got gaps.
yeah. Which again, you can still catch fish that way, but that's just kind of how I'm trying to tie these. So then you take your thread, back the bead, and it's nothing fancy. All you're doing is just taking the thread back to the back part of the hook. And where that barb is at, that's kind of where you want it to hang straight down. And then you're just, see right, kind of straight down from where that little barb of the hook is. That's about where you want to go to the back of it. And then you're going to take 3 card lengths of chenille. So you've got 1, 2, 3. You're going to cut that right in that bend. So 1, 2, 3. Where it bends, that's where you're going to tie in on the back, right on top of that bend. And you can kind of move that thread around when you just wrap it loosely. So I'm going to go right back over the top where I just came in, a little bit tighter, pull on it.
Pull on what?
Pulling on the thread.
Oh, okay.
Just all that's doing is just cinching down on top where I tied in.
Okay.
I'm going to raise that. All I'm going to do is go back towards the front, towards the bead, because that's where I'm going to end. This is where I'm going to do another half hitch. So you take 2 fingers, put it in, and then you're just going to kind of twist it.
Twice or once?
Just once. And then you're going to take that, oops, let's start over. So you come over like that and twist it. You're going to take that, so you can kind of form it like a triangle.
You put that
I'm
there.
going to take that top part of the triangle, that's where I'm going to end, right there. So
This is your favorite size hook.
This is a rotary vise. You don't necessarily have to have a rotary vise to do this.
Just helpful to hold the hook.
Yeah, well, it helps to spin for this next step. You can actually do the same thing if your vise doesn't rotate. You just wrap it. Instead of what I'm doing here is I'm holding it here and I'm letting the vise rotate to put the material on the hook. If you didn't have a rotary vise, all you'd be doing is wrapping it by hand because the vise isn't rotating.
And that's sticking to the fingernail polish you just put on
Yes.
there. Okay.
So then I'm finished behind the bead. You're just holding the chenille up so you can put a couple of wraps behind and in front. So this is just helping to secure it on the bead. Thank you.
You do like 2 wraps behind it and then 2 in front?
Yeah. You don't want to tug on it too hard because that thread will break. So we're going to save that for the front of the next one. So then I got a little bit of chenille that's still kind of poking up there, so I'm going to just do a few more wraps there and then finish with that half hitch. So kind of bring the thread out by me, make that triangle.
Do that once or twice?
You can do that a couple of times. And then I'm going to put a little bit more glue on top of that just to keep that from unwrapping. And then we'll trim the worm up and we're done. See, I got what a rotary vise means is that I can rotate like I'm doing now. This is rotary. You could get him just a cheap beginner's vise and it won't rotate like that, but it's something he could start with.
When you say cheap, like how much is it?
Thinking maybe $30.
Oh, okay. Where do you get them at?
Bass Pro.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that's kind of the length that I want there. Kind of looked like just a ordinary earthworm.
What color do you like more? Do you like that brownie, shrimp color, or do you like the
Brown's
red?
the earth tone. Well, I've tied them in brown, red, chartreuse. There's a lot of different colors that you can tie. But red and brown are probably the best just because the earth tone looks like an ordinary earthworm, but you know, some worms are red too. So yeah, all you got to do is when you're have to let that dry along, but yeah, you just run your line through there and it just kind of goes through the water like that.
Sweet.
And you use that for all types of fish? I mean,
Yeah.
I know you don't fish a whole lot with the different fish.
I've caught all kinds of different fish with that. Bluegill and bass, catfish,
Oh, really?
trout, rainbow, brown trout.
Catfish. Goodness
Wow.
gracious.
Pawpaw's yard flooded one time, so that creek got high, so we went out and,
Fished in the yard?
well, it wasn't necessarily in the yard, but the creek, yeah, I mean, there was water running, not quite over the top like this last time, but the creek was up quite a bit, so it was.
There's fish in there?
Yeah.
When it flooded, yeah.
So, you want to try one?
Sure.